I'm going to talk about 4 things that you must be aware of or understand before you trade futures on Bitunix. By understanding these 4 key things, you'll greatly reduce your chances of getting liquidated, which means losing all of your money in your futures account. So this video is pretty much an introduction video to futures, and in another video, I'll actually show how to place trades in the futures market on Bitunix. Now, before I get into the 4 things, if you don't already have an account with Bitunix by chance, I'll leave a sign up link in the video description where you can save 25% on your trade fees. With all of that said, let's get started. So right now I'm on the futures trade dashboard on Bitunix. Now the 4 things to watch out are 1, the funding rate, 2, the margin mode, 3, the leverage, and 4, your maintenance margin or your margin rate. With that said, I'm going to explain what each of these are and why they're important. So the first is funding rate. Now if you go over here, you can see that there is both a percentage and a countdown timer. Now, the way this works is that every 8 hours, interest, or in other words, funding is settled. This means that you either need to pay interest or you're paid interest. This number can be either positive or negative and can change at any time. The reason why this number changes is because it depends on market conditions. Basically, it depends on the amount of longs versus shorts. So when the number is positive, it means that longs have to pay shorts, and if it's negative, then the shorts have to pay longs at the end of the countdown. This percentage is based on your outstanding position. So let's take a look at an example. The funding rate on this is negative 0.8214%. This means at the end of the countdown, if you are in a short position, you would need to pay 0.8214% of your outstanding short position in interest. So let's just say you have 100 USDT and you leveraged by 10x and entered a short position. This means that you are in a 1000 USDT short position. By the end of the countdown, assuming that this number is still the same, you would have to pay 8.214 USDT, which gets deducted out of your margin balance. This means that of your initial 100 USDT that you had, you lost 8.214 USDT, and now you have 91.786 USDT in your margin balance. However, if you were on the long side, you'd have 8.214 USDT added to your balance. So the second thing is margin mode. Now over here where it says cross, if you click on it, it'll bring up a pop-up menu where it says margin mode. Now basically you have 2 options, and the first is cross and the other is isolated. So basically this here is asking you how you would like to collateralize your debt on your open positions. Now for cross, all of the funds in your futures account will be used as collateral for any open position. This won't really affect you if you only have one position open at a time, but it will affect you, however, if you have multiple open positions. Now, one bad open position can get you knocked out of all your open positions and liquidated if you are on cross or were on cross. Now, however, for isolated, only a specific portion of your funds is set aside at risk for a particular trade or position. So if you enter a position with 100 USDT, you can only lose that 100 USDT even if your account has more than that. One thing to note is that you can't change the margin mode once you've entered a position. This must be selected prior to entering a trade. Lastly, you will need to change it for each trade pair prior to entering a trade. Now the third thing to keep in mind is the leverage amount. When trading futures, you can leverage the amount of money that you're playing with. In other words, borrowing money to trade with. This doesn't mean that you actually own that money though. It just means that you can trade with more than what you have. Now over here, if you look where it says 1x, and if you click on it, a slider will appear and it'll allow you to adjust your leverage or the amount you'd like to borrow to trade with. So here's a simple example, but in real trading, it's a bit more complicated than this. Let's just say that you only have 100 USDT in your account. You leverage that by 10 times, which means that you now have 1000 USDT to trade with, which you use to enter a trade. Of that 1000 USDT, 100 USDT belongs to you and 900 USDT belongs to Bitunix. If or when the market value of your trade becomes 900 USDT, then you get liquidated, meaning that you're forced out of your position and Bitunix takes your 100 USDT and the 900 USDT, which is returned back to them. This should make sense because you only had 100 USDT to play with. Bitunix just let you borrow 900 USDT, which you have to pay back plus any interest. I've made a table illustrating the percentage moves that can get you liquidated based on your leverage factor. Keep in mind that this table doesn't account for interest though. Now, the last thing that you need to be aware about is your margin maintenance. So if you look over here, there's this meter over here and it'll give you a percentage, which is basically your margin rate. Now, the lower this number is, the better it is for you. Just make sure that this number doesn't reach 100%, just as it says right here in this box. When it does, it means that you'll be liquidated. All of your positions will be closed out and your money will be taken by Bitunix. This number will adjust based on two factors. First is the amount of collateral that you have in your futures account, and second is the amount of unrealized profit or loss on existing open positions. The more collateral you put in, the lower this number will be. Conversely, the less collateral you put in, the higher this number will be. This is the same idea with unrealized profit. The more unrealized profit, the lower this number is. The more unrealized loss, the higher this number will be. So those are the four things that I think everyone needs to be aware of when trading futures on Bitunix. This is because of just how risky trading futures can be, especially if you don't know what you're doing. Hope you learned something, and thanks for watching.